Hi, and good afternoon, and welcome to the Intro to Registration Live Q&A. My name is Trevor Lewis, and I'm the National Recruitment Advisor here at Carleton University. This is a continuation event of the registration sessions, the first event which was held last week. In today's session, we'll be tackling some of your most frequently asked registration questions. Thank you to all those who submitted your questions to our Instagram over the last week. We hope that you have been successful in tackling your timetable so far. Little housekeeping. During this session, we'll be doing a live Q&A, so you can type in your questions and get them answered in real time. And it will be open throughout through the entirety of this presentation. It also will remain open for about 15 minutes following the presentation. We have folks here from the Student Recruitment Office, Student Registration Assistance Team, Domestic and International Admissions Team to help answer any questions you may have throughout the session. In case you missed our intro to new student registration session last week, you can find the recording at admissions.carleton.ca/fall registration. We talked about some ways that we're going to support you in your transition to CU. And of course, the ins and outs of the new registration system and how to use the Timetable Registration Tool. Definitely check that out. So before we go any further, it's important to say that Carleton University acknowledges the location of its campus on the traditional unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. Before we go any further, and going forward, I should say, we want to talk to the intention of today's webinar. We want to answer your frequently asked registration questions, and of course, ensure that you know the resources available to help you with all your new registration needs. Okay, so how to contact the Student Registration Assistance Team. Some ways to contact them here. And as we talk to that, I want to introduce Jess. And Jess is from the Registrar's Office and is going to talk to you about how and when to contact the SRA for registration help.
Thank you, Trevor. Hi, everyone. My name is Jess. I am one of the team leads for the Student Registration Assistance Team, otherwise known as SRA. We are a team of students that work during the summer to assist all students with course registration. We help incoming first years with their course selection and provide other help to all students for navigating Carleton Central, troubleshooting registration errors, and providing effective referrals to other offices on campus. We are live every day throughout the week from Monday to Friday between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. We've got representatives working remotely but equipped with phones and constantly answering emails. Our contact information is there. We can be reached at 613-520-3500, option 1 for registration, or by emailing registrar@carleton.ca. And now I guess we will jump into some questions that we received last week about registration.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Jess. And this has been a great cross-population from Instagram to our Q&A here. And the first question that we received was, when does first year registration actually begin? And how do I know when I can register?
Right. So registration time tickets for brand new first year students and those admitted from SAGEP begin on June 24th and continue to open until June 26th. The last 2 digits of your student number correlate with when your time ticket is. The easiest way to know when exactly you can register is by going to Carleton Central, opening up your Getting Started page under the registration menu. This date is the earliest date and time that you may register for both fall and winter term courses. It's important to note that your time ticket does not actually close 30 minutes later or even a day later. In fact, your time ticket does not close until the last day to register for any given term. This means that you can register in courses and continue to alter your registration until the final day to register for each term, and I will discuss these dates a bit later.
Good stuff. We'll go right to the second question then. How do I submit fall and winter timetables?
So timetable planning and registration is completed through Carleton Central under the registration menu, and you will click on Build Your Timetable/registration. Essentially, students search for courses by either the course code that they need or can complete a variety of general searches to find courses. Students can build several draft timetables for each term that represent different scenarios and schedules. Once your individual time ticket opens, you will visit your finalized timetable, make sure there are no registration warnings that will prevent registration, click Proceed to Registration, and then Submit. And you just want to make sure that you do this for both the fall and winter terms. The registrar's office has helpful how-to videos that demonstrate the entire registration process, and the student registration assistance team is standing by through phone and email during business hours for all of your questions.
This is a great tip and something I would highly recommend as a parent of a Carleton student. We use this timetabling process and worked very well, so I highly recommend that. Let's go on to the next question. How do I know which courses I need to take for my program?
Okay, so on the Registrar's Office website, we have created a page titled First Year Course Selection Guides. You can find this by searching your internet browser or searching through the Registrar's Office website. In alignment with the updated undergraduate calendar requirements, you will find listed each and every degree program and the required courses for first-year students. There will also be useful information about electives, breadth requirements, and any other program-specific nuances. If you are an incoming first-year student, but you have transfer credits from CEGEP or another post-secondary institution, please contact your program's department advisor for course selection advice using your Carleton email account. Transfer credits may alter your course selection as compared to incoming first years with no transfer credits. If you are a returning student, so you have taken Carleton courses before, you may run an audit through Carleton Central to view your remaining program requirements, and contact your departmental advisor if you are unsure about course selection.
Very good, Jess. Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. This is a popular one. We get this one quite a bit. I know speaking with students over the years, and certainly in a lot of the webinars we've been doing, we've been asking questions around this, answering questions around this. How do I know which electives to take?
Yeah, it is a very popular question. Electives, for the most part, are courses unrelated to your major that make up your degree requirements. There is no one set list of electives because what is an elective for one student might be a mandatory course for another. So it's essentially a course that you are able to register for that does not count for your major requirements. If you are an incoming first-year student, typically electives can be any course you'd like as long as there are no registration errors preventing you from registering. The best way to look for electives is to visit the courses listed in the undergraduate calendar, check out course codes that interest you. So for example, psychology, cognitive science, French, and then expand your search to the timetable tool in Carleton Central to see the course times and dates and more information to see if you'd be interested in registering in that course. If you have specific elective requirements, such as an approved elective, or I see for my major, I've got a list or I've got approved electives that I have to pick from and you don't know where that list is, you're encouraged to reach out to your departmental advisor for clarification on what this means for your course selection. Another thing to note, students in Bachelor of Arts, so both general and honors, and Bachelor of Communication and Media Studies have a breadth requirement in order to graduate, and that involves taking a variety of different types of courses outside of their major. Put simply, there are 4 categories of courses: culture and communication, humanities, science, engineering, design, and social sciences. And including their major courses, students with breadth requirements must complete 1 credit in 3 of these 4 categories. This requirement is commonly worked towards or even completed in a student's first year due to the amount of space that they have for electives.
Thanks, Justin. I know that part of the process was particularly fun for my daughter because there's so many great choices to consider, and it was fun to look around at those.
Absolutely.
For the next question, it's always concerning when someone gets a warning of any kind. Why do I have so many registration warnings for mandatory courses?
Of course. There are several reasons why registration warnings for mandatory courses can prevent themselves. Recently, we experienced a technical issue where students were adding courses to their timetable. They had completed the prerequisite in the winter term. They chose to select the SAT option for their grade and were getting prerequisite registration errors. This error largely affected returning students only and has since been resolved. So that was one inquiry we were seeing a lot last week that should be resolved now. However, outside of this isolated issue, registration warnings can appear when the registration system recognizes a student as having the wrong year standing for a course, not meeting prerequisites, or being in the wrong degree, department, faculty, or major for the course. Sometimes these issues are due to an oversight in the way the course was set up, and other times it's because there might be specific sections of courses meant for certain students. So you can anticipate registration warnings by looking at the course description in Carleton Central, opening it up on a new page, and ensuring that your program elements align with what is permitted for the course. If you are receiving warnings that don't make sense to you, the Student Registration Assistance Team can help you decipher them and assist in your next steps. All that we require is you calling us or emailing us from your Carleton email account with specific registration warnings that you're receiving. This allows us to be able to look into these issues ourselves to determine what can be done. Finally, the registration override request system is accessed through Carleton Central, and this allows students to request permission to join a course when they receive errors that prevent registration. First, there must be a failed attempt to register in the course, which means that the student's time ticket must actually be open. Registration override requests are sent to the department that administers the course, and decisions for approval can take about 3 to 5 business days. We recommend that while awaiting a decision for any override requests, students select alternative courses that contribute to their degree requirements to ensure that they are registered in their desired course load.
That's perfect. And I'm certainly heartened, as I'm sure that anyone who is getting a registration warning, to know that they can reach you at any time to go through that. That's a lot of information too.
Absolutely.
The next question is kudos to whoever asked this one, because we get this one a ton as well, and it's a really good one. Do I need to take a 1001 course before I take a 1002 course?
This is a great question, and it depends on the course, actually. So many courses do require students to take 1001 before 1002. However, not all courses are like this. It's important to mention that 1001 and 1002 is a common setup for a Part 1 and Part 2, but it might actually be also 1003 and 1004, 1110 and 1120. So there's different variations. Examples of first-year courses where you do need to take Part 1 before Part 2. Things like biology, chemistry, psychology, sociology, to name a few. Interestingly enough, I noticed one first-year course where you can actually take Part 1 and 2 at the same time, and that's linguistics. However, there are several examples of first-year courses where you do not need to take Part 1 before Part 2. In fact, you could just take Part 2 if you didn't require Part 1 for your major. You could take them in Part 2 first and then Part 1. And those are things such as African studies, anthropology, Canadian studies, communication and media studies, legal studies, economics, music, and social work. So a lot of students don't know that you don't have to take Part 1 and Part 2 in that order if you don't require them for your major. So it's always important. You can always reach out to our team if you want clarification, but you can actually go take a look at Part 2 in Carleton Central and see if there is a prerequisite for Part 1. And if not, then you're okay to register in Part 2.
That's perfect. Thank you. Next question is, can you please explain the credit system?
Yeah, this is a very common question, as many institutions actually count their credits differently. At Carleton, a typical course that runs for one term only, so for example, a fall term course that runs from September to December, is worth 0.5 credits. A full year course that runs from September to April is typically worth 1 credit. So if you were a student in a 20 credit program, so a Bachelor of Arts honors, for example, looking to graduate in 4 years and not take summer courses, you would take 5 courses per term, so 5 in the fall, 5 in the winter, and that would equal 2.5 credits per term or 5 credits per year. Of course, there are many paths to graduation and course loads vary among students, but the easiest way to remember the credit system is that a typical course is worth 0.5 credits, and students typically earn 2.5 credits per term through 5 courses.
Fantastic, thanks. I like this question because when I'm talking with parents and students, the students, especially this time when you pick your classes, you're all excited to start, and the parents want to know, okay, well, when do I have to pay? Like, when's this going to happen? So after I register, do I have to pay my fees like right away? And also, the supplemental question is that can I only register for the fall term right now?
Of course. So for the first question, as soon as you register in courses, your fees are calculated automatically and can be seen by going to the calculate amount to pay menu in Carleton Central. The fees can be paid right away, however, they do not have to be. The 2020 and 2021 dates and deadlines page, which can be found on the Registrar's Office website, outlines the dates that fees must be paid for each term. For example, the fall term payment deadline takes place near the end of August, and the winter term payment deadline takes place near the end of November. For the second question, once your time ticket opens, you are able to register for both fall and winter courses. Some students don't know this, but it is very important to register for both fall and winter terms if you plan on attending, as courses for both terms can fill up. So unless you are registering in a full year course that runs from September to April, Carleton Central will not remind you to register for both terms, but it is your responsibility to do so at your earliest convenience.
Thank you, Jess. You certainly know a lot about this. So when, do you have it in you for another question? Do one more here. When is the last day to drop courses if I change my mind or change my registration?
Of course, this is kind of a loaded question. There's a lot of dates involved, but I'll try to make it as clear as possible. And also we've got that dates and deadlines page, which is a really important resource. So the last day to register for courses or alter your registration, and that includes course sections, labs, tutorials, etc., occurs usually a few weeks after courses start. The last day to change your fall term or full year course registration is on September 23rd. The last day to change your winter term course registration is on January 20th. Carleton University differentiates between two drop or withdrawal deadlines when talking about dropping courses. So the financial withdrawal date and the academic withdrawal date. Each term has both a financial and academic withdrawal date. The financial withdrawal date occurs sooner in the term, and this is the last day that students can deregister from a course and receive a fee reassessment. In other words, it's the last day to drop a course and potentially be eligible for a refund. Any course dropped before the financial drop date is also completely removed from the student's Carleton University transcript. So for the fall term, for example, this date is at the end of September. The academic withdrawal date occurs usually on the last day of classes for the term before the exam period begins, and this is the last day to drop a course in general. After this date, a course may not be withdrawn from. Any course dropped after the financial withdrawal date but before the academic withdrawal date does not warrant a refund, and it places a WDN or a withdrawn on the student's transcript indicating that the course was taken at some point but dropped. So for the fall term, the academic withdrawal date occurs near the beginning of December. So like I said, all of these dates mentioned above and in any previous question, they've been taken from our 2020 and 2021 dates and deadlines page. We highly recommend every student and parent familiarizes themselves with this page. Quite often, time can get away from us when we're busy, and it's always important to stay on top of our dates and deadlines.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that's going to end our live Q&A. But as I mentioned at the outset, we do have 15 more minutes post live Q&A for our team in the background to answer any of the questions that you have. And as I had mentioned, we have here people from the Student Registration Assistance Team, the Recruitment Team Office, Domestic and International Admissions Team in the background to answer your questions. So please feel free to stick around and answer your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them for you. And enjoy your time. Thank you very much for joining us again. We look forward to answering your questions. And thank you very much, Jess, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.